They really think Drew McIntyre is walking out of WrestleMania in one piece? Are you serious right now? Because if you watch SmackDown, if you actually paid attention, you'd know this isn't just a match anymore. This is a collision that WWE itself doesn't even want to take responsibility for. An unsanctioned match. No rules. No protection. No excuses. Just violence. And here's the real question I need you to answer before we go any further. Who do you trust more in pure chaos, Drew McIntyre or Jacob Fatu? Because after what went down on SmackDown, that answer might decide who you think survives WrestleMania, not wins, survives. SmackDown didn't just hype this match, it lit a fire that cannot be controlled anymore. Drew McIntyre came out with that cold, calculated energy. Not loud, not emotional, just focused. The kind of focus that tells you he's already imagined every possible way this fight could go. And that's what makes Drew dangerous. He doesn't fight with rage, he fights with purpose. But Jacob Fatu? Jacob Fatu doesn't care about purpose. He is the chaos. And when he showed up, everything changed. The atmosphere shifted. You could feel it. The crowd didn't just react, they hesitated. Because when Fatu steps in, it doesn't feel like a wrestling segment anymore. It feels like something is about to go very, very wrong. Drew stood his ground. No backing up. No fear. But let's be honest, there was a moment, just a split second, where even Drew looked like he realized this wasn't going to be a normal fight. Quick question for you. Did you notice that moment when Drew slightly stepped forward instead of back? Was that confidence, or was it a mistake? Then it happened. Words were exchanged, but not the kind you forget. Not the kind you laugh off. These were the kind of words that stick, that turn into something personal. Fatu didn't just threaten Drew. He dismissed him. Like Drew McIntyre, the same man who carried WWE through one of its hardest eras, was just another body waiting to drop. And that's where things got dangerous. Because Drew doesn't react well to disrespect. We've seen him lose titles. We've seen him lose matches. But the one thing Drew McIntyre never tolerates is being treated like he doesn't belong at the top. And Jacob Fatu? He didn't just cross that line, he erased it. The tension snapped. No slow build. No teasing. Just pure, immediate violence. Drew struck first, but Fatu didn't flinch. Let me say that again. He didn't flinch. That right there should tell you everything you need to know about what Drew is walking into at WrestleMania. Because when a man can absorb a hit like that and respond with a smile, or worse, no reaction at all, you're not in a match anymore, you're in a fight you might not win. And then Fatu exploded. Not controlled. Not measured. Just raw, unfiltered aggression. The kind that makes referees useless and security look like decoration. Drew fought back. Of course he did. This is Drew McIntyre we're talking about. A warrior. A survivor. A man who's been counted out before and came back stronger every time. But this wasn't about resilience anymore. This was about endurance. And here's where things get even more insane. WWE officials rushed in. Not to break up a scuffle, but to stop something that was clearly getting out of hand. And that's when the announcement dropped. Unsanctioned match. WrestleMania. No rules. No liability. No responsibility. Think about that for a second. WWE, the same company that thrives on control, is basically saying, we can't control this, and we're not even going to try. Let me ask you this. When was the last time a match felt this dangerous before it even happened? Now let's break this down, because this isn't just hype. This is strategy, psychology, and brutality all colliding at once. Drew McIntyre is a tactician. He knows how to pick his moments. He knows how to survive wars and still stand tall at the end. He's been through hell in a cell, last man standing, and everything in between. But Jacob Fatu? He doesn't play by those rules. You can't out-strategize someone who doesn't follow logic. You can't predict someone who thrives in chaos. And that's what makes this matchup so terrifying. Drew's strength is control. Fatu's strength is removing it. On SmackDown, you could see Drew trying to impose order, trying to slow things down, trying to turn it into a fight he understands. But every time he did, Fatu broke it. Every time. A shove turned into a slam. A strike turned into a brawl. A moment of control turned into complete disorder. And that's the pattern heading into WrestleMania. If Drew controls the pace, he has a chance. If Fatu breaks it, it's over. But here's something nobody is talking about, and you need to hear this. Drew McIntyre is angry. Not just competitive angry, something deeper. This is a man who feels overlooked, disrespected, constantly fighting to prove he's still that guy. And when Drew fights with something to prove, he becomes dangerous in a different way. Not chaotic like Fatu, but relentless. And that might be the one thing that could match Fatu's unpredictability. So, now I've got another question for you. What's more dangerous at WrestleMania? Controlled aggression or uncontrollable chaos? Drop your answer in the comments because this is where the debate gets real. Let's talk WrestleMania stakes. This isn't about titles. This isn't about rankings. This is about dominance. The winner of this match doesn't just get their hand raised. They send a message to the entire WWE locker room. And the loser? They don't just lose, they get broken. Because in an unsanctioned match, there are no moral victories. No he fought well speeches. Just consequences. Picture this. Steel chairs bent beyond recognition. Tables shattered. Barricades torn apart. And two men who refuse to stay down. That's what this is building toward. And after SmackDown, it's clear, neither of them is walking in with hesitation. One more thing you might have missed. Fatu wasn't just attacking Drew physically. He was attacking his identity. Every move, every strike, every stare, it was all saying the same thing. You don't belong here anymore. And if that doesn't light a fire in Drew McIntyre, nothing will. Now let's flip it. Because Drew isn't just walking into chaos blindly. He knows what Fatu is. He's seen the destruction, felt the impact. And if there's one thing Drew understands, it's war. So don't be surprised if Drew comes into WrestleMania with something different. Something darker. Something that matches Fatu's energy but channels it with precision. Final question before we head toward the inevitable. If this turns into a full-blown war with no rules, who has more to lose, Drew McIntyre or Jacob Fatu? Think about it carefully. Because sometimes, the man with more to lose fights harder. But sometimes, he's also the one who falls. SmackDown didn't just set up a match. It created a situation WWE can't control anymore. An unsanctioned fight. A personal war. A collision that feels less like entertainment and more like something we're not supposed to see. And that's exactly why you won't be able to look away. WrestleMania is about moments. But this is about impact. And when Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu finally collide, there won't be rules. There won't be order. There won't be mercy. Just violence and the question we've been asking this entire time, who survives? Because winning almost feels like the wrong word now. After what we witnessed on SmackDown, after the way this entire situation spiraled out of control, you can't look at Drew McIntyre versus Jacob Fatu and think classic match. No, this is something else entirely. This is the kind of fight that changes careers. Let's go deeper into what SmackDown really showed us, because there were layers to that chaos that a lot of people missed. When security flooded the ring, when officials tried to separate them, when everything looked like it might finally calm down, Drew didn't leave. Think about that. He didn't retreat. He didn't reset. He stayed. Eyes locked on Fatu the entire time. That's not just confidence, that's a message. Drew McIntyre is not planning to outlast Jacob Fatu. He's planning to end him. But here's the problem with that mindset. You can't end someone like Jacob Fatu. Because Fatu doesn't fight like a man who's worried about consequences. He fights like someone who's already accepted them. And that's a completely different level of danger. Quick question. Do you think fear plays any role in this match? Or are both of these men completely past that? Now, let's talk about impact. Not moves. Not highlights. Impact. Every strike between these two on SmackDown felt heavier than usual. Not just physically, but emotionally. There was frustration in Drew's punches. There was rage in Fatu's attacks. And when emotion starts driving violence like that, things escalate fast. That's how matches turn into moments people talk about for years, and also how things go too far. There was a moment, blink and you miss it, where Fatu laughed. Not smiled. Not smirked. Laughed. right after taking a brutal shot from Drew. And if you didn't catch that, go back and watch it.